chaps, and welcome back to another DTH list. Wow, it's been a long time since me and Jamison made one of these videos, one of these talky videos. Before we get into this list, we've done one of these for the last 2 years now? Or is this our third?
This will be third. We did one for 13 and 14 and now 15.
Alright, nice. But we haven't done one of these talky videos in a while, so we should probably quickly explain why we haven't been doing them. And it's not very complicated. Basically, we just didn't really have the time. I think it got to a point where me and you were getting a bit busier, and I think it even got to the point where we actually threw a few videos out because we'd taken so long to get them prepared and ready to go up that they were actually kind of irrelevant by the time they were ready to go up. Like, I think we recorded the second episode of our podcast.
Did I not put that up?
No, that never went up. And I
Really?
think we threw away. I think Master Chief Collection never came out. I don't think Assassin's Creed Unity ever came out.
Podcast 2. Look at that. Yeah, I never edited it. You're right.
Yeah, so I think it just got to the point where anything that involved like a time constraint, anything that could basically be irrelevant after like a few months or so, just wasn't going to be within our capabilities. So we kind of just threw in the towel. But this time we're doing a video that has like a year span to get it done.
Yes.
So we've actually managed to do it within winter. What is it now? It's probably February when this goes up. So that's like within a month. That's good for us.
My target is like the first week of February, which will beat out last year's video. The best of 2014 came out at the end of March. So
oh wow, look at that.
We're
good?
moving. We're good.
We really are. So if you've never watched one of these list videos before, me and Jamison both have a top 10 list. We are going to go backwards and forwards, starting at 10, going up to 1. The topic of this video is the best of 2015. Big list. Big list.
I think there's like 8 pages of notes between the two of us, so that should...
Yeah, it's going to be a long
one.
It's going to be a long one. So do you want to quickly summarize what you think of the year 2015 as a whole?
Okay, if I have to.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know, before we started doing this, I was kind of like, there were like 3 games I thought were pretty cool this year, and then I started actually thinking and like launching some of these older games from earlier in the year, and I realized, oh no, wait, no, this game is pretty, oh right, and this one's pretty cool as well, oh, okay, yeah, so is this one, and I think in the end it ended up being very solid, like pretty much throughout the year. There was
I think
a lot
it's a solid year.
Yeah, like it was consistent, I think.
I wouldn't say it's a standout year, but it was a good one.
I think it was like 2013 had like 3 of the best games in a long time, and then a bunch of games that were solid. Last year was just a bunch of games that were somewhere between all right and solid.
Yeah.
And then this year was, I think, a couple of games that were really good, and then a bunch of other games that were good, if that ranking sort of makes sense. Like I would put it under 13, but way above last year for sure.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
There was also quite a few surprises this year. I have a few things on this list, and at a certain point on this list, which I'm quite surprised about and wasn't expecting at the beginning of this year.
Yeah,
that's going to be interesting.
Looking over my list, it's it's surprising, and there are some like, I don't know, maybe I hesitate to say like breakthrough, like aha, I am being exposed to more things and liking more things now, maybe.
Okay,
yeah.
I think I know what you're saying.
And what else happened in 2015? Xbox, I think, did really well.
Yeah, they came back, didn't they?
You know, the first half of the year was pretty boring, but from E3 onwards, they did the backwards compatibility stuff and Rare Replay and Halo and Tomb Raider, and I felt like I wanted to use my Xbox more and more as the year went on, and I wanted to use my PS4 less and less, and I think in the last 6 months I have played Star Wars on it, and that was about it.
Yeah, I've made a strange transition over from PlayStation to Xbox. My PlayStation is now pretty much gathering a bit of dust, and it was the opposite last year. I hadn't actually used my Xbox at all except for Sunset Overdrive. And the Xbox has got a lot of use this year, so it's been nice. It's been nice to switch it around.
I also found myself using my PC a lot this year because there were a lot of open world games. Yeah. And I just went with PC for all of them because I like to just cheat my way through things if I get frustrated.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that pretty soon for me, actually. Because I've just upgraded my PC to like a capable PC. It can pretty much run everything.
Yeah, you should be
at
good
this
for a while.
moment in time.
Yeah.
So next year might be the same for me. I might be playing a lot of stuff on PC, which I'm excited about.
Yeah. So I think all in all, it was good. It was a good year.
It was a good year.
Yeah. Destiny got good.
Well, let's
Crickets?
do we have to.
Crickets? Yeah. And then it got lame again, so let's not talk about it.
All right. Well, let's get into it. I'm going to start at number 10. So my number 10 for the year of 2015 is Just Cause 3. Now, this is probably going to be quite a quick wrap-up because I haven't actually played that much of Just Cause 3. Something I should say before I go too much further is this year there's actually going to be a few games on this list which I didn't finish, which is like breaking like a golden rule in like reviewing, etc. But as we said at the beginning, we've got busier, I don't have as much time, and some things might have been higher up on the list if I had more time, but I'll get to those when I get to them. And Just Cause 3 might have been one of those, because as I said, I've only played about 5 or 6 hours, but I've already hit a bit of a problem with the game. But let's not go into that right away. Let's just say the first few hours of Just Cause 3 were probably the most hilarious and entertaining of any game I played this year. The first, I say 3 hours, I think I was giggling like an absolute maniac. Most people know what like the main format of Just Cause is. You run around, you have parachutes, wingsuits, explosives, and I basically treat the game as like a giant sandbox to just test out what I can do with like their crazy physics. And that's what I did for the first 3 hours or so. There's like a new like tethering thing where you can stick certain objects to other objects and like retract them in. And I basically spent the first few hours like sticking cows onto cars, sticking people onto planes, and just having an absolute laugh that way. But eventually, I kind of went into the missions and the challenges, and I didn't have as much fun playing just the formatted missions. I wouldn't say they were dreadful, but I guess when it comes to me personally, I was just kind of looking for a sandbox game to run around in and cause havoc. I wouldn't say any parts of the game played bad. I really like the aerial traversal. I think the wingsuiting is really, really fun. But I'm not far into the game, and I already kind of feel like I don't really want to play many more of the quests. I actually modded the game, I think, 2 days ago and unlocked everything. And again, I was quite surprised about, even after when I've unlocked every single gear mod and weapon, I was actually quite surprised about how little I really wanted to experiment with things. I did do a few things. That you unlocked like a massive like nuke gun that like blows up like a whole town, which is fun. You get these C4s which actually turn into jets before they explode, so I was kind of putting them on the back of cars and then standing on the cars, and then I would go soaring while shooting at people. But I kind of just found myself walking around and thinking like, what can I do now? Like, I don't want to do a mission, I want to do something creative and funny, but I'm not feeling very creative right now, and I don't know what to do. So I found like a lot of my time I was just kind of like, I was flying around the map, and then I'd find like a big wind turbine. I was like, oh man, I'm going to stick a car to the wind turbine, but then I couldn't because it was going too fast, and I was like, alright, I'll go somewhere else and see if I can figure out something else to do. And I know that I'm going to go back to this game, and there's going to be some more fun and creative stuff I can do, but I am personally not interested in like playing through much of the story. I might give it more of a go. We'll see. But I am treating this game as a fun, explosive sandbox, a physics sandbox, and I'm just kind of struggling to find new things to do. But the reason it is on my list is because the first few hours were just absolute hilarity. But I was just quite surprised about how quickly I hit a wall with Just Cause 3.
Yeah, I hit that wall as well. It took me longer. I think I put like 15 hours into it or so, and I was playing it normally, which was perhaps a mistake. Maybe not, I don't know.
Maybe not.
And yeah, some of the missions are kind of garbage, but that's okay. Just Cause 3 is weird because it's kind of just like Just Cause 2, like except they added a few really cool like gameplay changes to it. I wish, well, Just Cause 2 is just like a big dumb sandbox, and I feel like maybe I burnt out on 3 because I had played 2, and so I'd sort of gotten that out of my system years ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was like 5 years since Just Cause 2, and maybe I expected more from it, I'm not sure, but I think that game would have benefited from just having a big button on the main menu that says, put me in sandbox mode, give me everything.
Yeah.
Let's just not bother with this story and challenges and locking things behind challenges, and all that stuff was really kind of annoying. But yeah, parts of that game are really, really funny. And the stuff, I really like the tethering stuff, getting, cows, tethering them to buildings and like slingshotting them and rocket boosting them around. And I definitely had a lot of fun with the sandbox and the explosions and stuff. I mean, like that stuff works really well, and shit blows up really well. But yeah,
explosions are awesome.
It sort of, I agree, it sort of petered out maybe faster than I was expecting. But then I look at Just Cause 2, and I played about the same amount of time with Just Cause 2, so I don't know that there's a good game, like a game, that can be made with Just Cause. I think it's a good sandbox, but I don't know, like, structurally as a game, if it's possible to make something that is neat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just feel like at the beginning of the game, you're kind of given all of the tools that you can experiment and mess around with, and I just feel like, you know, they had the tethering, and then they had the Jet C4 stuff that lets you mess around with the physics. I just kind of wanted a few more tools at my disposal when it comes to messing around with that type of thing. But I still like it, and I still intend to go back and give it more go, because as I said, I'm still early on, and it's probably this low down on my list because I'm judging it based on a low playtime.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give it more time, and I'm actually looking forward to it. It's a cool game.
It is, and you're right, the traversal stuff is awesome. Like the wingsuit into pull into parachute it's really graceful and really well done. It's very fun to get around with that stuff, yeah. Okay, my number 10, hold on to your butts, everyone. My number 10 is Fallout 4.
Okay. It made the cut.
It did make the cut, yes, it did. Fallout 4. I don't know what, I have a bunch of notes here, but I don't even know what they're getting at. I never played Fallout. Skyrim was my first Bethesda game, and then I never played either of the other Fallout games. So this is going to be only my second Bethesda game and my first Fallout game. And I might have expected too much from it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of hype.
But I did spend 60 hours with it, half of which was probably... I think I broke it down. I think I spent about 15 hours, maybe more, building stuff with their weird...
Oh, God, that base building.
That shitty but kind of fun base building that serves seemingly no purpose. I still don't know.
No, I don't think... I have no idea what it accomplishes.
Yeah, like so that's maybe that's a problem.
Well.
And then I probably spent another 15 hours just walking around trying to find anything to do.
Yeah.
I still don't have like 4 companions from the game because I didn't find them. But there is something appealing to that, like just wandering around. And there were definitely some good experiences that came out of just wandering, finding like the weird Mr. Handy robot like museum amusement park thing in the northwest or the north.
Oh, I never found that.
Northeast.
You told me about that.
Yeah, like that was really fun. Like there are little things that I came across that were really entertaining. But yeah, I spent 30 hours with it in the first week of its release.
Yeah, it was crazy addictive.
And then it took me 2 months to put another 30 hours into it. So
yeah, I know that.
I think I might have burnt it a little too quickly. Well, that might have been my problem. If I had paced myself a little better, I might have spent even more time with it and enjoyed it even more, because the world is decent. It looks nice at times. The shooting is way better.
Yeah.
Like they turned it into a solid first-person shooter. I like the weapon modding stuff. I like the base building stuff, I think. I like the base building stuff when I have access to developer console commands and cheat engine, which help me add things.
Yeah, when you don't run out of adhesive over and over again.
Yeah, and I can like easily place things beside each other instead of getting that stupid red no-go stuff.
Oh, you can get rid of that. I want that.
Yeah, that was pretty nice. And but yeah, I worried about Fallout 4 a lot after some of the other open world games that had come out before it in 2015. And I think in the end I was just kind of not put off, but I was disappointed at how kind of it felt a little lifeless, I think. Which is stupid to say because it's an apocalyptic wasteland, but you know.
I'm just going to say it. The Witcher 3 probably had a negative effect on Fallout 4.
I think The Witcher 3 did, and then also like maybe a little bit, because The Witcher 3 we'll get to, but I think also to an extent something like MGS5, which did gameplay really well. Like there was a really good storytelling game and a really good gameplay game, and then Fallout was out. Fallout comes out and it's kind of like, what is this game good at? I think it's there are a few games on this list, and I think that this applies to. And I think Fallout is one of them where if you are more creative and put more into it, I think you get a lot more out of it. And I'm not good at that a lot of times, I find. So I just fizzled out on it. But I keep booting it up every now and then and wandering, looking for something, I think is what I'm looking for something good, maybe. And I just, like a really good quest or something. And
Yeah, well, that just happens in any RPG. When you hit like the 50-hour mark, you need something intriguing to keep you going. Because as soon as you feel like you've seen everything interesting that the game has to offer, then kind of motivation to push on for another 20 hours isn't really going to be there.
I feel like it needed, for me at least, I needed a little more direction.
Okay.
Because there's like not a single quest marker anywhere on anyone's head, you know. I wish there was a mod that I could install that just showed me where every quest pickup was on the map, so I could just go and get these people's quests and do them instead of wandering around and clicking A on people and being like, "You got anything for me?" No, okay, I'll carry on then.
Yeah, I definitely went through a few towns talking to every single person.
I just needed a little more of a push in certain directions at times, I think, and that would have kept me going longer, I bet. Maybe someone will do that with a mod, and that would be great.
We have to keep an eye on it for the future because obviously they're going to bring out probably 3 or 4 expansions, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with the game in the future, coming this year probably.
And I will play all those DLCs, so like it did things right for sure, but it did not. Skyrim really blew my socks off, and I played the shit out of it and loved it, and this just didn't quite do that for me for a lot of little reasons, I think.
I get you.
Yeah. The best part of that game, I just want to share. The best part of that game, I don't know if you know where this is, but it's right in the sort of downtown on the water. There's like this weird amphitheater type thing, and there's like a sort of Scientology cult that is there.
Yeah, I've been there.
I came across them early in the game when I was just sort of exploring, and the guy was like, "Come into the back room, friend, and we'll indoctrinate you." And I was like, "Okay." And then we get to the back room, and he's like, "Now give me everything you have." And I'm like, "How about I kill everyone here?" And I did. And then like 50 hours later, there's that quest with the weird immortal family or whatever, you know, and one of them, like the father is like, "Go and find my sister or my daughter or whatever."
Yeah, this is when I first found this place.
Okay, so yeah, you get back to that Scientology colony or whatever, 50 like with this quest, and I arrive there and there's no one alive, as you would expect, except for one dude and the lady who he's holding hostage or like in a closet. And I talk to the guy and he's like, "Hello, friend, come into the back room and I'll indoctrinate you." We get into the back room and he's like, "Now give me everything you own." And I said, "I killed everyone here already and I'll do it again." And he was just kind of like, "Oh, okay." And he just left. And that was the funniest part of that entire game to me, because it was like, here's something that I did like 40 or 50 hours ago coming back and being funny. And like tracked by the game, and that was. I wish there were more things like that I had encountered. I just had to share that little diddly because I thought that was hilarious when I experienced it.
Yeah, Fallout does have some good character and personality to it.
Yes, it does.
I like those moments.
Yeah,
but I will be talking about it a bit later. So on to my number 9.
See,
this is probably the game that I feel most guilty about putting at this specific spot. As I said, when I was talking about Just Cause, there's a few games that I haven't played enough, and I know that when I eventually go back and push through with this game, it's probably going to push up higher on this list because it looks amazing further on. This game is Metal Gear Solid 5. It's number 9 on my list, and I am only 20 hours into the game, which is basically like a fraction of what Metal Gear Solid 5 has to offer. I think it's like a 60-hour experience.
Yeah, I think I put about 50 in, and that was get through the main story and like 20% of the side stuff. So it's probably 100 in total, but yeah.
Yeah, so I'm still very early on with Metal Gear Solid 5, but I didn't pick it up. I didn't start playing it right away just because I didn't think I was going to like it, because I've never played Metal Gear Solid in my life. I think it looks weird. I tried Metal Gear Solid 4 and it was just really slow and I didn't understand it. So I put off Metal Gear Solid 5 and the reviews were insane. They were like 10s across the board. So I was like, all right, I'm going to give it a go. And I was really, really surprised about how easy it was to get into it. As an outsider, I for some reason thought it was going to be reasonably hardcore and it was going to take me a bunch of just like practice to get into it. but Metal Gear Solid 5 was so easy to pick up. Like, the first main mission you have to do, I think I did pretty well. I don't think I got spotted throughout the whole thing, except maybe at the end. And when I did get spotted, I just started shooting people, and I was like, this is great. I'm having a great time. And then I pushed through the next 20 hours pretty rapidly, and I enjoyed all the time I've spent with it, and I am excited to go back. Unfortunately, I started playing it near the end of last year, which is when everything started coming out, so I haven't managed to go back to it. But since I'm early on in the game, I don't have that much to say about it, except that I am shocked at how well it plays. I love how detailed it is. It's actually... Metal Gear Solid 5 Mythbusters has been my favourite series on this channel ever, just because I was so fascinated by how many just seemingly silly details that they integrated into the game. It's actually kind of mind-blowing. And I've seen some of the stuff that is coming up in the future, and I'm excited to play more. I love the personality of the game as well. I was really surprised by that. Obviously, diehard fans know that it's kind of a weird game, but I didn't. So I've really been enjoying like the kind of like gritty themes mixed in with like their weird sense of humor. Like, I just got to the part where you get DD, and if you haven't played the game, he's a dog with a knife, and he slits people's throats and then backflips off of them, and I'm like, what is happening? This is just absolutely beautiful. So the game it plays great. I don't know much about the story since I haven't played the other games, but I'm still kind of enjoying the wacky storytelling behind it. And I just don't have any complaints. There was a few parts in the game that are like pretty in-depth, like the mother base stuff.
Oh.
Like, you have your crew, and you can like assign different people to different areas. But luckily, the game allows you to kind of just click auto-assign, which I appreciated because I just don't care, don't have time for that. But when I first heard that it was like an open-world stealth game, I was like, oh god, this is not going to be for me. But it's good. Everything about it's good. It has really good pacing. The variety is great. You get new weapons, companions, etc. A really nice pace. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to revisiting it and finishing it over this year.
Yeah, MGS5 is a really good playing game, and it will come up again later, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yes, to everything you said, basically.
Cool.
It probably wins the award for like most stuff doled out most consistently, if that makes sense. Like, you are constantly getting new toys to play with.
Yeah.
And like 20, you don't get weapon customization until like 20 hours into that game. But it's, yeah, I mean, even when I had finished the game, I still hadn't come close to even unlocking like half of the things that you could use. And it was, in terms of a variety and stuff you get, that game is like unbeaten, I think, last year.
It's a great game. It looks amazing as well.
It does, yeah. It's so weird and fun and neat, and yeah. We'll come back to it.
We will.
Okay. Number 9. Bloodborne.
Bloodborne, alright.
Okay. Let me explain something first. Fuck Dark Souls. Just kidding. Don't close the video. I don't like Dark Souls. I greatly respect and appreciate it, but I don't like it. I put a few hours into the first game and like 10 hours into the second game, and don't care about the world. Like, I don't really like fantasy, and I don't like how slow it is. It's just too animation heavy, too methodical, too deliberate, I think. So I was always going to give Bloodborne a try, because I know that one day, maybe I'll like it, and it was going to be a fairly different thing. So I tried it, and I liked it.
Hooray!
Probably because it's fast.
Yeah.
Like combat, movement, attacks, those are fast. And also because it was, I would say, it dumbed down from Dark Souls. There's none of the like there's not much of the magic stuff or two-handed, one-handed shields. It's just like Bloodborne is, here's your weapon. You can pop it into one other version of the weapon. You got a gun that stuns people, go. And that, I think, has resulted in maybe that Bloodborne doesn't have as long stretching legs as something like Dark Souls, where people are doing all these weird specific play styles. But that's fine for me, because I think it made it easier for me to get into, which was helped also by the world being really cool.
Yeah.
Like the environments and the enemies are some of the best. It's some of the best art I have ever seen.
Some of the most messed up art.
It's so weird and creepy, and I love the way that game transformed the world. Like the world transformed as you progressed with the different moon phases, and even just the environmental art. Like you started in sort of just like Victorian horror London, but it eventually gets into like weird alien tentacle Cthulhu like terrible shit near the end of that game. And you and I had some good back and forth. We were playing it right when it was out, and we were sort of doing the Souls thing of like, what's this thing? Have you been here? Did you see that boss?
Yeah, that was really fun actually.
And I think that really helped. It really helped sort of the enjoyment of it. Bouncing things off of each other was neat and fun. And
this was the first Souls game I'd ever played at release.
Yeah.
I played Souls 1 and 2 partially after they came out, and there was like all these online resources. And this time I went in not having anything. So yeah, that aspect where it's just kind of me and you like doing a bit of research and trying to figure stuff out and struggling with some bosses and then giving each other tips. That definitely made it a bit more unique than when I played the last Souls games.
Definitely, yeah. And we Vicar Amelia, that weird dog creature boss.
Oh yeah.
That was a highlight for me because I killed the blood-starved beast and then was exploring and stumbled into her boss arena, and I killed that bitch first try, and it was amazing. And that was like the most hyped I'd ever been in 2015 was when I killed her on my first try. I got on Skype and was like, I just killed a Dark Souls boss on my first try. Holy shit. Call me MLG right now. And then you hit that boss and struggled like a lot with it.
Oh, I remember that.
And then
that was when
you summoned me, and I came and helped you with my killer axe, and we beat the shit out of her. Yeah,
that was when I converted over to the life of the axe.
Oh yeah,
the amazing spinning axe.
And like that whole escapade was really really cool. The only reason it's not higher on the list is I just hit a wall eventually where I was done. And part of that is due to me hitting a spot right around the orphanage where those fucking insight-sucking witches with their tentacle faces and their super fast attacks, there were like 30 of them.
Yeah.
And I had never once come across an enemy that my axe could not handle. And then you were just like, you need a faster weapon. And I'm like, well, I don't have any, and I don't have anything to upgrade it, and I think that exposed, I think, part of the Bloodborne problem, which is you can use this starting weapon and upgrade the shit out of it and use it without really any issue until you hit a point where it's useless.
Yeah.
And I eventually got through that. I conquered those goddamn awful enemies. And then I just sort of realized, I'm good. That was about 35 hours, and I just got tired of the combat after a while. It's really tight and fun, but after 30 hours I was just kind of, I was good. I felt satisfied, and I didn't feel the need to beat the game. I know what most of those end bosses look like. I looked them up, and I just hit a point where I was good. I was done, and I think that's all right. I don't really have much bad to say about Bloodborne. Also, while I will say, fuck the camera in that game. People that say that camera is deliberate and it's like part of the experience, no. That camera is just bad half the time.
I'm surprised you haven't talked about the Chalice dungeons or Blood Vial farming as well.
Let's not talk about Chalice dungeons.
Chalice dungeons are good. Co-op, they're not good.
Man, but yeah. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, the Blood Vial farming is shitty. They shouldn't have done that. They should have gone to to the Dark Souls, like rest at bonfire, replenish that stuff. Cause,
that's like my only big complaint about the game.
You would go up against a boss, die a bunch of times, and then you'd be out of blood vials, and you'd lose all your momentum on that boss and spend 40 minutes. Or not 40 minutes, more like 20 minutes getting blood vials, and that's lame. Like, that just sucks.
It was lame. Lame.
But as a whole, Bloodborne is one of the games on this list where it's like, oh, Eureka, I get it, I understand. I've seen the light. I have
You
been
experience
converted
the
to an
Souls.
extent. Yeah, I'm not going to play Dark Souls 3, but I would play another Bloodborne game, let's say. You know.
Yeah, that's fair.
And yeah, that game's world is awesome. I went down the Bloodborne lore hole recently and like watched 3 hours of videos about the world of that game, and it's cool. You want to hear about it?
No. They always put so much hidden stuff in there for the hardcore fans,
It's
which I
awesome,
appreciate.
yeah.
Even though I'm not one of them, I think it's cool when people dedicate specific stuff to the hardcore folks.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that extra effort.
So yeah, Bloodborne. It's a cool game, and I was happy to have seen the light and figured it out. Yeah.
Seen the darkness.
Seen the darkness is more accurate. Seen the blood.
Seen the blood. All right, number
8.
8. Oh, we're only on 8.
Fuck.
All right, this won't be a long one. My number 8 is Dying Light.
Yes.
Love this game, but it
I'm
came out
so
so
happy
long
you
ago.
put this on your list.
It came out January, wasn't it? So it was
Yeah.
a long time ago, over a year ago now. So I struggled when writing notes to remember specifically what I liked about it, but I do remember that when I went into Dying Light, that I was already a big fan of a very similar game, which is called Dead Island, which a lot of people were not a fan of because it's a really rough and ugly looking game, and it doesn't even play that well. But there was something about the format of like an open world, I guess kind of RPG zombie game where you upgraded your weapons, and Dying Light took that format and they just made it better. They put in a parkour system. It looked way better. It played better. It was more interesting. They added in the horror nighttime element with the I can't remember what they're called. The big zombies that chase you. They were spooky.
I don't remember. Yeah, that stuff was
They
awesome.
were spooky
though.
as shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, they just basically just tweaked the format, made it more interesting, and I already liked it from Dead Island, so I was a big fan.
Yeah.
I can't remember specifically what I liked about it because it was a long time ago now, but I remember having a great time with Dying Light, and I'm pretty hyped for the upcoming expansion. That looks really fun.
Yeah. I'm glad I knew you were going to put this on your list. I was almost positive, and I wasn't because I was like you. It's been so long.
Yeah.
But I really liked Dying Light. I didn't finish it. It was like the beginning of my year of not finishing a lot of games.
Yeah.
I got to the second area and played a bit of that, but I really liked the combat was fun. The loot stuff of finding better weapons and modding them and enhancing them and getting new abilities, and the parkour is really good.
It was good, yeah.
And then the nighttime stuff just makes it more, it adds a good twist to the day-night stuff and makes staying out at night. It's a really interesting risk reward because you get a lot more XP points at nighttime, but you can die really easily. And
it was genuinely pretty scary.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm glad it's on here because it needs some representation because it is a really cool game, and I am going to play and probably really enjoy that big DLC that they're about to put out. And
yeah, sounds cool.
That game also looks really awesome. I think it's grungy and shitty looking in all the right ways.
Yeah.
And at nighttime, it gets so dark out, and your flashlight is so necessary to seeing things in dark areas, which I really like. I like when a game gets really dark to the point where you can't see your feet, basically, and you need to use light sources. And yeah, that game was a huge surprise because I really didn't like Dead Island. But
it's going to be interesting to see Dead Island 2, actually, because now it has competition. If it doesn't meet Dying Light, then I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Rip.
Yeah, Dying Light, it was a great start to the year last year, where it's just here's this awesome zombie game with this cool parkour stuff. Yeah. So glad it's on the list. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All right. That'd be
Your
me.
number
8. Okay, my number 8. Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Cool.
Let's ignore the fact that I really didn't like the last game.
Doesn't make any sense.
Because it doesn't make a lot of sense.
At least you say it.
But whatever. I hated the first game. Well, I didn't hate the first game. I was really put off by the first game. For whatever reason. But that doesn't matter. The past is the past. This game it's awesome. It's really cool and surprising. I think the shooting of guns is shitty and really uninteresting. But I think the general movement, the sort of Last of Us / Tomb Raider style grab shit and make bombs out of it while you're fighting guys is still cool. The bow is really good. The shotgun is really good. Shotgun's the only gun I used, basically. It was like bow and shotgun. It looks amazing, like just visually.
Good, yeah. Really good.
And that's another game where, like MGS, you're constantly being rewarded with new things by doing side stuff, basically. Making all the tombs give you gameplay rewards is really smart. I like that it never seems to be wasting time, like looting an enemy or skinning an animal. It's always it's like a really fast animation, so you just get it over with quickly. I like that. I thought the story is like totally cliche and predictable, but it's presented really well. It made me half care about it. Like all the cutscenes and the acting and the in-game like performances are all really good. That make it helps sell a very predictable story. And yeah, it was just I was really just surprised across the board by it, and it sucks that they don't get to put it out on PlayStation until this fall. The PC version will be out probably by the time this video is out. It's a little bit of a shame that they made weird licensing deals, and it has kept it out of a lot of people's hands, because I think it is a very good game. And
yeah, it is.
They improved it. This is what regarding me not liking the first game. They changed enough from the first game that made me really like it, but not enough to make it so that you can even notice that they changed anything.
Definitely.
Granted, you maybe don't have the best memory of all the people on this channel, but yeah, Tomb Raider just really was a good, fun, sort of action adventure game that was kind of nothing else came out like that this year. I think sort of a linear. Even though this has big open areas, a linear action game. I was looking for some linearity after the year of open world that we had. So
yeah, there was a lot of open world.
Oh god, yeah. So yeah, Tomb Raider.
I have started playing it. I think I am 4 hours or so into it, and I'm really enjoying it. It didn't make my list. Little spoiler there. It was close to taking over Just Cause 3, but again, it's one of those games that I mentioned that I haven't put enough time into to judge fairly, but I am really liking it. But as I did play through the first one, it feels a little bit samey, but as you said, there are a few tweaks. There's more tombs, which I really like. I like the puzzly stuff, and there's these open areas which you can explore and do a few like side quests, which I've actually been really enjoying. But it's one of those games I'm really looking forward to pushing through, and if this list was any longer, it would probably be at number 11 on my list. Maybe when I finish with it, it will be higher up.
Yeah, I think it was like top 3 or 4 for you for 2013. I could go check, but I won't. I remember it being like top 5 on your list.
I love the first one, yeah.
And I think you having played and really liked the first game makes the impact of this one lesser. But for me, not having played it, it makes the impact basically hit as hard as the first game hit for you, I think. So
yeah, it does seem that way.
Yeah, it's a very good game, and I look forward to more people getting access to it once the PC version's out and then the PS4 version later. So
yeah, I look forward to going back and finishing it over this year. So my number 7 is Fallout 4, which I was quite surprised at it being this low. I was expecting it to be a little bit higher, but let's talk about it. I am a big Fallout 3 fan, and when Fallout 4 came out, for the first 10 or 20 hours or so, it was pretty much everything I wanted, which was like just I was going to say reinvention. Let's say a reimagining of Fallout 3. It was very, very similar, but it had just been made to look better, and it played much better. And I was happy that it wasn't much different from Fallout 3, because I played Fallout 3 for like 120 hours, and I played through all the DLCs, and I was like, yes, I am ready to go again. And I really, really enjoyed the time I spent in it. I surprisingly enjoyed the building aspect of the game as well. I was not expecting to enjoy messing around with Sanctuary as much as I did, but for some reason I did. But the game was strange to me. I was completely hooked on Fallout 4 for, I think, 50 hours.
Wow.
No. Yeah, I've just clocked over 48 hours. So I played it almost non-stop, and I haven't gone back since I stopped playing it. And I went back the other day, literally just to record footage for this video, and I still don't really want to go back to it. And I don't know why. It's been a really weird game for me when it comes to how much I want to play it. I feel like I hit a wall where I myself didn't really think that the world had much more to offer me, even though I can't confirm that since I haven't pushed on. But I've done a lot of walking around in the game. I've done a lot of side quests. I'm not actually that far through the story. I think I've just found the
Institute?
The Institute, yeah. So I've done a lot of side quests, and if you do side quests, that basically leads you to walking around the world and exploring it. And I kind of got to the point where I feel like Fallout 4 is bigger than the world is interesting, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like, as soon as I don't find it fascinating to walk from A to B, I don't feel like I'm going to find something really interesting from A to B, then I kind of just don't really want to play it. Because my favourite part about RPGs is exploring the world. I love exploring these worlds. So, I don't know. Fallout 4, I kind of was surprised when I hit this wall, but that doesn't mean that the 50 hours I spent in it were bad. I really, really enjoyed the 50 hours I spent in Fallout 4. I loved the gunplay. I thought the quests were interesting, and the game just felt good, and there was something very, very addicting about it. But I will be honest, and I was surprised about how quickly I hit the wall. 50 hours doesn't sound like a quick time, but for Bethesda games, for me, that's really quick.
Yeah, that's like half, basically.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. I crossed over 100 hours of Skyrim as well.
Yeah.
I just don't think they pushed it enough.
I agree.
I feel like the formula has aged a bit, and I don't know.
I feel like I look back on like it's been what years to Fallout? It's been like 7 years since Fallout and 4 since Skyrim, and it just like you said, it felt just like a paint job on Fallout 3, but also they made the gameplay good. And I think you saying it's longer than it is interesting, I think is a really accurate. Like there may be 80 or 100 hours of content, but the world is only interesting for like 50, and I think that's a really good way of saying it.
But yeah, I just like, I'm looking back at like when I first jumped into Fallout 3, and I'm looking back to when I first jumped into Skyrim, and that feeling of curiosity kind of drained quite quickly in Fallout 4.
Yeah.
And it's hard to kind of pinpoint the way you react to a game sometimes. I don't know the psychology of why that kind of feeling hit me, but it did. So I was a bit disappointed that it hit me. But it still is one of the best games I played this year for the 50 hours that I did play it. My only complaint is that I don't want to play it anymore.
Except for the DLC, really which...
Well, yeah, that'd be fresh and interesting
content. Yeah.
So, still a great game. Still, we're like up the... Wait, what number are we on? 7?
Yeah.
Yeah, still like the 7th best game, in my opinion, that I played this year, but just didn't hold my attention for as long as I was hoping for.
Yeah.
Still gets a thumbs up, and yeah, looking forward to the DLCs.
Agreed. Alrighty, number 7. I'm going to make this one a little bit shorter. I'll make the next two are probably kind of shorter.
Yeah.
Tales from the Borderlands is number 7 on my list. Now,
Cool.
I'm fairly high on the game because I just finished the 5th episode, which is the last episode like a day ago, 2 days ago.
People said good things about the episode. Big things.
Tales from the Borderlands is the biggest surprise of the year for me.
Ooh.
There's one other game on this list, which I think you might know what it is. That is a big surprise, but Tales from the Borderlands is the biggest surprise for me this year because I was so done with Telltale games. I played and really enjoyed, like everyone else, the first season of Walking Dead. I played half of the first episode of season 2 and said no thank you. I played the first 2 episodes of The Wolf Among Us and really liked the first episode. The second one was fine, but I just hit a wall with Telltale, the structure, where I was just like, I don't want to play these stories anymore. They're just too similar, and so I hadn't touched a Telltale game for a good 2 years. Secondly, I don't care about Borderlands, the writing, or the world, and I actually kind of actively dislike a lot of the writing in the Borderlands games.
Yeah, I remember when they announced a Borderlands Telltale games, I thought it was a weird choice when it comes to the writing. I
totally had written the whole thing off. Borderlands humor is way too meme heavy and internet, like it's just it's shitty. Tales from the Borderlands is most enjoyable story of the year, for sure, for me.
Whoa.
Most enjoyable. Not best, but most fun. Like,
Cool.
it has a very likable cast of characters. There's like 8 or so. And they all have a good sense of humor, and they're all kind of bad at everything they do. It's basically a heist / caper story.
Okay.
And that's probably the biggest thing for it, is that every one of the characters is funny and lovable in a way, and they all get along really well and play off of each other really well. And then on top of that, it makes really smart use of both Telltale and Borderlands mechanics. Like in Telltale games, you have that little pop-up in the upper left that says like, Clementine will remember that, whenever Lee says something. In this game, they play with that a lot. They'll do like, so-and-so will never ever forget what you just said, and stuff like that, which is really funny. Like if you skip the credits, it says Telltale will never forget that, or like you're on our shit list now or something for skipping the credits. So they really have a lot of fun with that, almost fourth wall breaking type stuff. And then they also do neat stuff with the Borderlands mechanics of like catch a ride and changing your skin and looting things. That stuff is fairly toned down. And then the last part, like at the end of that game, you get you have to sort of, it's not really a spoiler, but it's just like you get to choose things at the end of the game, and your options are limited by your choices that you made throughout the game, basically. Okay. So they take all of the things that you did, all of your interactions with characters, and that impacts whether or not you can do some things near the end of that game. Or rather, it impacts how you do some of the things at the end of that game. And it was just surprising right through. The first episode's fine, but each episode gets significantly better and better as you get to know the characters and the story and all that. And the writers sort of figure out their humor. And yeah, I hope they do a second season, because I'll play it, because it was just fun, and there were a lot of very serious games this year, and this was just a tight, very enjoyable story, and I like enjoyable stories. I think Telltale should maybe throw out their engine sometimes, because like there's a big Pacific Rim as hell finale in episode 5.
Yeah.
And basically every time the camera changes to a different part of the scene, there's like a good second or two long freeze.
Oh.
And like their engine is barely holding together, I feel like. It almost made the finale kind of suck, because it was like almost hilarious how like I'm just seeing this finale, and it's like, okay, is this game just going to crash? I'm just going to lose my save right here, aren't I? Here we go. It's going to crash right now. No, it didn't. Okay. Oh, here we go. It's going to crash again. Oh shit. Okay, it didn't crash. Which was kind of a bummer. But as a whole, that thing was so entertaining and surprising. That's the biggest part for me. Is I expected it to be like just shit, and it's really not. It's got style, and the title cards are really good, late title cards with the Borderlands, how they do the song and the sort of montage type thing with their openings. Highly, highly, highly recommended.
I think when it comes to notable titles, it may be the only thing that I missed this year, just because I just wasn't expecting it to come out as well as it has, and it's been received amazingly. I have purchased it, and it is on my catch-up list. It's actually the only thing on my catch-up list when it comes to titles that I completely missed across 2015.
Yeah, it's definitely should be played. If you like a good fun story, it's great. Yeah.
I'm in. All right, number 6. So my number 6 for 2015 is Bloodborne.
Alrighty.
I don't actually have that much to say about Bloodborne, because Bloodborne is pretty much 90% combat. And I really like the combat. I am a fan of the Souls games, and I really liked the tweaks that they added to Bloodborne to make it feel really, really different. Like when you actually compare the two, they really aren't that different, but the very small changes that they made to the combat made it feel like a completely unique experience, and that's what I was looking for. The game looked amazing. I obviously have a few complaints. The boss fights weren't as good as Dark Souls, in my opinion, and yeah, the blood vial stuff. But overall, I enjoyed the whole game. I think I put like 30 to 40 hours into the game. I finished the game, and I was enjoying the combat all the way through, and that's what the game is. The game is all about the combat. Obviously, some people like the lore and stuff, but that's not for me. I like the combat. It was amazing. It looked amazing. Good game.
Yep.
Rapid fire, man.
Look at that. Number 6 for me is Super Mario Maker. I tried to say that like the game says it because it's adorable.
It was alright.
Okay, spoilers. I forgot to mention I bought a Wii U.
You did. That was weird when you did that.
It was like Black Friday or whatever, except not
kind of
here
jealous,
because
though.
it's not. We don't have that. But yeah, it was like it was bad. It was just like this bundle is $30 off, and it's like $30. Oh my god, what a deal! I have to buy this.
I'll take the lot.
Fucking Christ. So I bought it, and I bought like 9 games for it, and I've played half of them.
Yeah.
Splatoon is not on here. Splatoon is really cool. This is just a little mini Wii U side note here. Splatoon is cool. I don't remember what else I played. Doesn't matter. Super Mario Maker.
Wait, it's good that we actually played Nintendo this year. We've never done this before.
It's true.
We actually played Nintendo.
I
think you said in the last
I did.
one of these lists that you were going to get one.
I did?
You said you were missing Nintendo. We actually did it. I thought that was going to be bullshit.
I stuck to my word. Yes, last
can't
year
believe it.
I'll probably cut to it right now. I said, see right there.
I saw it. That was beautiful.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And I stuck to my word and I shut up. Yeah. So I bought a Wii U. Yay, finally. Okay. Mario Maker is the best creation style game made to date.
It looks so good.
There aren't a lot of them really. Like Little Big Planet is the most direct comparison because it's a platformer.
Yeah.
Little Big Planet falls apart because you can do so much, basically. And in order to learn how to do so much, there's so many tutorials with Stephen Fry and his adorable narration.
Yeah, it's difficult.
It's impossible. I never built a thing in Little Big Planet because it was too complicated. Mario Maker wins because A, you have a stylus and a touchpad, which goes a long ways. And B, because you're limited to making Mario levels, which, like, everyone knows what a Mario level looks like. Everyone knows roughly what they play like. And you just get all these tools and you're just start placing shit down. And then you just hit play and you test it out and you know, that doesn't work, and tweak it again. I have very little experience with Mario. You know, I played some of it like 12 years ago, 15 years ago, and that's it. Like, I played a Wii for 5 minutes, and like the last time I played a Nintendo console would have been at someone's house and a GameCube, you know, like a decade or more ago. So I have very little experience with Mario, and this was a really good learning tool for me as well to just figure out. Even though I recognize most of the things in Mario, I don't necessarily understand like the gameplay parts of them. And the act of creating something has never been easier or more satisfying in a game. And then the act of beating something you made that turned out to be way harder than you thought.
Yeah.
Like my first level, I spent like a month just sort of poking at it every now and then I was eventually satisfied with it. And it took me 4 hours to clear it and upload it.
Whoa.
Over about 3 days, I spent 4 hours with it. Because it was fucking way too hard.
Yeah.
And then someone else we know has gotten a Wii U, and hopefully I can convince maybe 1 or 2 others to get a Wii U or to get Mario Maker, because throwing a level at someone you know and being like, beat this, and then they spend a day beating it and they send you feedback on this level you made, and then they send you a level, that back and forth is really good. Sort of like Bloodborne, you know, in the discovery way, but this is like, here's something I made from top to bottom. Now play it. Now give me feedback on it. That's a really interesting feedback. I never would have thought to get through it this way. I'm going to go make another level. You know, that stuff is really, really, really awesome.
Yeah, I'm kind of jealous.
Some of the sharing aspects are kind of because it's Nintendo and internet, you know, and they don't really go well together.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
The community is so bad at Mario Maker. It's fucking annoying. like they have a thing where you just click. It's like a 100 Mario challenge, and you get 100 lives to beat 10 levels.
Ah, yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, and you get to pick your difficulty, and it just pulls levels that are out there, and they are so bad.
Yeah, I've seen some of it.
Underwater, no. 1-to-1 remakes or 1-1 remakes with a twist, go away. We Mario, fuck that. Autoplay, no. I don't want any of this shit. So that stuff is frustrating. It would be higher. Maybe if that stuff was better, but I think this is just a game where it's like, this is just something I'm going to poke at for a long while and just sort of occasionally send something to someone, you know, or have a level sent to me. And I could see it, because you can play it entirely on the tablet, I could just see that thing being plugged in and under my desk, or, you know, with the tablet tucked away, and I just pull it out and play something or make something for a very long time from now. I could see myself doing that. And of all the Wii U things I played this year, it's definitely the coolest and takes best advantage of the Wii U. So it's a great game.
On to my number 5?
Yep.
Number 5. My number 5 for 2015 is The Witcher 3. Which I don't even think I was planning on playing this game.
No.
Because The Witcher 2 gave me so much trouble.
Oh.
I found The Witcher 2 just too difficult to get into. But I gave The Witcher 3 a go, and I found it too difficult to get into.
Okay. Before you get going, I just want to say, I really did not think you were going to make it through this at all. Because that first couple weeks, you were struggling so much. Man. I was just like giving you as much advice as I could, and you just were like, it was painful to hear about and to watch some of it because you streamed some of it. So when you would go on to beat the game, I think, right, over the following 3 months, I am happy and very impressed, maybe, that you made it. You got it. It finally clicked.
Did it.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
That's okay, yeah. It was rough. It was rough to get into, just because I'd never played an RPG where you had to, like, really prepare, especially when your character was at a low level. Luckily, I had you who'd gone through the second one, and you were way further ahead of me on the third one, and you kind of taught me, like, you have to have potions ready, and you have to go find the components to make the potions. You might want to get this oil and this oil so that you can go after this beast. And I was like, okay. And I just broke it down piece by piece, died over and over, and then finally it clicked. And surprisingly, when you kind of get there, it wasn't actually too much of a challenge after a certain point.
It's not,
you kind of actually feel a bit like a powerhouse. But anyway, on to things I liked about the game. The two best things about The Witcher 3 are the world and the quests. And I think it did its world and its quest better than any game, or I should say any RPG, has ever done before in the history of video games. I think it was the most alive world I'd ever seen. I really felt like the world was just going on without me. And the quests were the most varied and interesting of any quest I'd ever played in an RPG, which it was just astounding, really. And also, it was just beautiful to look at. It looked absolutely incredible. So I knew it was going to be a good game, but I didn't think it was going to be for me. And when it was for me, I still didn't think it was going to be one of the best RPGs I'd ever played. It was unexpected. Kind of like Metal Gear Solid 5. I broke into a few new franchises this year that I'd never broken into before, and was surprised by how much I enjoyed them. I think the only complaint I have about the whole game is there was like one part in the middle of the game where I thought the pacing wasn't very good. I think when you go into that big city, is it like Novigrad or something?
There's a long stuff there with Dandelion.
Yeah.
I feel like if you know those characters from the previous games and like them, that stuff... I agree it was long. It goes on too long, but having known who those people were and what they were talking about, it made it more interesting. But yes, you are totally
that makes
right.
Sense.
But
then as soon as I pushed through to... Is it
Skellige?
Skellige.
Yeah.
As soon as I got to Skellige, I was back in and I was having so much fun. Because Skellige looks amazing. And it completely changes the pace and the way you have to traverse the land. And yeah, I completed it, and I still had the DLC to do, but I'm looking forward to that. So
the DLC is really good. You'll like it. Yeah.
So I am looking forward to going back to The Witcher. I've said that about a lot of games on my list so far. Probably because I haven't had the time to completely finish a lot of them off.
And there were a lot of long games this year.
Yeah, there were.
Yeah.
The Witcher, another game that took me by surprise. There's a lot of surprises this year. And I'm very, very happy that I pushed through the troubles that I had at the beginning, because it is probably the best RPG I have ever played. I think it is the best RPG ever made. I don't know if it's my favorite, because I'm a very sentimental guy, I'm very nostalgic, and I get attached to blah, blah. But I think it is the new benchmark of RPG. It's incredible.
I agree.
I think you might do. And
yeah,
we'll probably talk about it later, so I'm just going to leave it there.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Okay. What was that? Number 5. So my number 5. My number 5 is Metal Gear Solid 5.
Nice.
You pretty much we pretty much covered all this already.
We
the
did.
only thing I have really to say is like it's the best playing open world game ever made. Open world games normally kind of play like shit. GTA games, not very good. Even The Witcher has its moments. Tomb Raider, Tomb Raider is sort of open world, but like I find open world games normally are focused on other things. After like gameplay is like number 3 on their list. MGS5 does not feel like that. MGS5 feels like number 1 through 3 is gameplay, and they really, really nail it. Like the movement and shooting and all that is amazing, but what makes it for me is the freedom, I think is the right word. I hate Ubisoft because I don't hate Ubisoft. I hate Ubisoft quest designers because they're all the same quests and they're all so constrained, and it's like, you better do this quest exactly this way or you're fucked.
Yeah.
And I say no thank you. So when I got into MGS5 and you finally get into that open world and they're like, okay, rescue Huey. He's in this base. It's nighttime. Go. And I was just like, oh, I know. I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to do this. And the game just says, okay, sure. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, yeah. You want to shoot the power lines and take out power to the base? Go for it, Like, the amount of anything you can think of, you can basically do in that game.
And I thought that would like be a bit scary and overwhelming and confusing. But like when I talked about it a while ago, I think like the biggest surprise is just how easy it is to get a grip on that system and to be like, yes, I know what I'm doing and I'm excited to do it. I was really surprised about that.
And that was the big thing for me. Like it really blew me away. And there were times where, I just wanted to sneak into this base and, the little things, like I hate when you can't shoot a light out in a game.
Yeah.
And this game is just like, you can shoot every light out in this game, no problem. You can shoot the power lines if you want to. You can get the horse to poop on your face. You can do a lot in that game. And I think it would be higher on my list if I put more into it. I hit a point where I was just like, okay, let's see the end of this story. Haha, that's hilarious. You're hilarious. Okay, I'm done with the game. And then I used Cheat Engine to give myself everything in the game, which was cool.
It does have
but
fun.
Other people will say, including someone else on this channel who I know will watch this video, that this is the best game of the year, and he's maybe not wrong.
He's going to be mad about my number 9 spot about that. He's going to be mad.
It gets better the more creative you are with it, and I've never been great at that. So I could see really, if I was just trying the craziest things all the time, I would enjoy it for another 50 hours. But that's basically my only real knock against it, is that as someone that doesn't go too over the top with things in games, I hit a point where it's just like, I'm good with the side quests and all this stuff. But some of the moments in there where you have these realizations where it's like, these people that made this game are insane.
Yeah.
And they programmed it to do anything you could think of.
They must have had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, and it also, like you said, the weirdness, there's a lot of quirk around it, which I really like. And yeah, it's a heck of a game.
So is it time for my number 4?
Yes, sir.
All right, this is the one I've been wanting to get out of the way.
Okay.
Because it's a controversial one, and I would be lying if I wasn't going to put it on my list. I was tempted not to put it on my list, but I put it on my list.
You putting Goat Simulator at number 4 again?
My number 4 is The Beginner's Guide.
Fuck you! I'm leaving.
So, if you don't know what The Beginner's Guide is, because it's like, it's very indie. Like, it's really, really indie. Unless you watch, like, maybe YouTube Gaming, you might not have heard of it. But it is a experimental title from the guy behind the Stanley Parable. And I can't really go into it too much because It's very hard to describe, but he basically walks you through a showcase of one of his friend's video games, and then you kind of think that it's just going towards this like very depressing angle. It's like, okay, this guy looks like he has depression, and then at the end it does something that I thought was like really brave, really unique, and almost overly personal from a video game developing standard. Like I always felt a bit awkward when it got towards the end, because I was like, I don't know if I should know this stuff about this guy and his friendships with this. Like this is really personal stuff. But I am a big fan of uniqueness, and when a game does something that I haven't seen before or that I wasn't expecting, I always take to it. I really like games that push the boat out, and I've never seen anything like this in the beginner's guide. I've never seen such like kind of like open honesty when it comes to, I guess, something quite personal in a developer's life. And it was unexpected, and I dig that shit. So it had a big effect on me. So that's why it is so high up on my list. And that's what I'm going to say.
That's fine, I don't hate you.
But I knew it was going to be a weird one, because even when we did our Gone Home review, like when we praised it, people were a bit like, this isn't even a game. And the same argument could be made for the beginner's guide. So some people might think that's a bit weird, but I like being a bit quirky with my list and putting some weird indie shit on there every single year.
Yeah, you know.
So number 4.
Who cares?
Beginner's guide.
I don't like that thing too much, but I agree that it should be commended for being unique and creative, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't care for where the story went at all, because it was just sort of like, okay, I'm just gonna leave. You keep talking. I'll be right back. Okay. Just keep going. You know, or it's just like you didn't need to tell me all this. I didn't
Yeah,
agree
so
to
personal,
this conversation.
It's really
I mean, and
personal.
also, you know, like the idea where you're like, I don't know if he just is making all this shit up or not, is cool. And yeah,
It did feel slightly like one of those conversations you have in real life where you sit down with someone, you're like, oh, how's it going,
like, hey man, yeah, how's life? And it's like, well, I'm sexually repressed and my girlfriend left me.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
And it's like, all right.
I'm just going to get a drink over here.
Yeah, and just run for the hills.
Yeah. It was a bit like that at the end, but I don't know. It was like fucking brave of him to put it out. If it is real, I'm pretty sure it's confirmed real, but I think it's real.
It's not real.
Maybe it's not.
I don't think anything is
cool.
real. Yes, absolutely. Creative and unique, 100%, and good on him for making something weird and original. Yeah. Number 4. My number 4 is Until Dawn.
Oh, I love this game.
I know it is high on your list, and we'll talk about it again. Until Tales from the Borderlands, Until Dawn was my biggest surprise of the year, and I would still put it at number 2 for biggest surprise, because man, did I so not care for anything they showed before this game was out.
Me too.
It looked so just lame.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I know why. Because when they showed the footage at E3, it looked like a horror cliche mixed with Heavy Rain. And
Which is exactly...
And it was a horror cliche mixed with Heavy Rain, but it looked like they hadn't done it on purpose when they showed the footage at E3. And then you realize that was part of the intention and the charm of when you played it, and it made it even better.
Yes.
I think that's why it was hard to show off.
Perhaps, yeah. Yeah, so it's a... I'm sure everyone knows what this is, you know. It's a cinematic sort of Heavy Rain style game where there's not much gameplay and it's lots of button presses and choices. They really do a good job of nailing the goofy teen boning murder simulator, sort of like, oh, we're all gonna go out to the cabin and like have lots of sex and do drugs. Oh my God, there's a murderer! Oh God, you know. And it really does a good job of that. And I actually thought that there were some decent, like I knew nothing about the story, and I thought there were some good twists near the end of that game.
Yeah, me too, actually. I was surprised.
You know, it does that stuff well. It also does the gameplay stuff really well, with the button prompts and stuff like that, and the choices. What's exciting about it is that literally anyone can live and anyone can die. Like, no one is safe. Some characters are way safer and harder to kill than others, but they can die just like everyone else, and that's really neat. The characters are probably the biggest surprise though of that game. Like, they all start off the first 4 hours are like, wow, these guys really are like the biggest walking cliches ever put in a video game. And they absolutely are. But as the game progresses, you sort of realize that they're all kind of awesome in their own way. Well, maybe not all of them, but...
Yeah, I remember this because we were playing at roughly the same time and you were a little bit ahead of me. And I was like, how do I kill Mike? Mike's annoying. And then you were like, no, just wait.
And then
he
you're
gets
like,
better.
Oh, Mike? Like, Mike's the hero.
Actually, also one of the best things was playing it alongside other people. Like I had you and a few other people, and I'd be like, I just killed Jessica. Did you kill Jessica? And you're like, no, Jessica's fine. I was like, oh shit, I fucked up. Jessica's dead. Which isn't a spoiler, by the way, because anyone can die.
Exactly.
Anyone can die.
And
that's what made it fun.
Yeah, like Mike is a good example because he starts off as just a total douchebag, and by the end of that game, you're like, oh, Mike, you're like kind of in my game at least. He was like the hero of that whole thing.
Yeah.
And he's great. He's smart, and Emily as well. Oh, Emily, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, she kind of does come into her own. Ashley kind of becomes like the worst one.
Yeah.
And then Emily becomes a bit more redeemed near the end.
I panicked with Emily. Okay, I might have pulled the trigger.
Oh my god, I know where you killed her. I can't believe. Why would you fucking do that?
I don't
man? You're a
know.
psycho.
I don't know. But yeah, that's
so-
the stuff. That's
so
the stuff
savage.
that's so good. That stuff is great, and
Oh my god.
like it looks awesome. The performance captures are mostly really good. There's a little too much teeth showing.
Yeah.
Whenever
Tiny
they're
bit off.
smiling, or basically at all times. And 90% of that game is just cheap jump scares. And every time they happen, I laughed at the game and was like, "No, you got me again, you son of a
Yeah.
bitch!" And it was just so much fun from beginning to end. It's so goofy, and it does a lot of things well, like really well with choices, and the sort of playable movie-like game that is normally kind of bad.
Yeah, it's a format that no one's really tapped into since Heavy Rain, and they did the best job of it anyone's done so far that I've seen.
Yeah. And it's what a fun thing.
It's so good, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, number 3. The top 3.
Whew.
Ooh, this is getting big. All right, so my top 3. My number 3 for 2015 is Halo 5.
Hey, I'm just going to interrupt you for a sec and say,
Okay.
so is my top number 3.
Nice.
So
All
let's
right.
just talk about Halo 5.
Okay, well, I'll start off because I wasn't interested in Halo 5 for a long time because 343 dropped the ball with Master Chief Collection or just literally stamped on the ball and then kicked it off the
Remember,
cliff.
2014 is known as the year of hate and sadness, I think they dubbed it
Yeah.
at one point. Yes.
Yeah, after MCC, I was pretty down when it comes to Halo. And Halo 4 wasn't terrible, but it still wasn't what we've been looking for since 3. So there was no hype inside me for 5. And then out of nowhere, it just kind of started creeping up. I didn't invite it, I didn't ask for it, but it started coming. I couldn't stop it. So when it came to Halo 5, I was fucking excited. So I was like apprehensively excited. I was like, please don't disappoint me. And now I can safely say that it is the Halo that I've been wanting since Halo 3. It is a good Halo on all accords. I'm going to try and be pretty brief, and then I'll have to pass it over to you. I like the campaign. A lot of people said it was short. I don't think it was that short. I think it just felt short. But I like the campaign.
It moves fast, yeah.
Yeah, I like what they did with like the multi-leveled levels, and I really liked the story. I thought it was interesting. I look forward to seeing what happens in Halo 6. I really like the multiplayer. I think this is the first Halo where they have tweaked the original formula, and by that I mean like adding sprint, adding abilities and stuff. This is the first game where they've tweaked it, and I haven't had a problem with it. I like ground pounding, I like sprinting, I like clambering. I've had a few complaints about Spartan charges because I think the register on it has been a bit weird and I've been one hit by them on full shields, but I think I just get hit in the shoulder and there's a bit of lag or whatever. But I like it. I like all these extra Spartan abilities. I think they all work well. They obviously did a lot of testing and stuff because it feels balanced, which is weird for a Halo game.
And you feel powerful.
Yeah. And it's super satisfying to Spartan charge someone. A ground pound is always the most beautiful thing you ever pull off if you do it successfully. It's amazing to see. I think the maps are good. I think they gave a pretty decent selection of modes, and they've been supporting it fantastically since it's come out. It's actually got way better since it came out. Warzone was, I wasn't sure about it when it was announced, and Warzone turned out to be one of the best things about multiplayer. It was something I'd never played before in any multiplayer game, and it was weird and really unique, and I love it. And custom games just came out, and custom games are great, and the community is back in action. We've already played a few maps and had a few sessions, and they've already been amazing. And I'm basically just scratching the surface about what makes Halo 5 an infinitely fun game, and a game that I can't wait to put fucking 500 hours in. I don't care.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to play this game for, hopefully, I keep going for the next 2 years would be nice if I don't get bored of it, because I'm just having the best time of it right now.
Yep.
Over to you, sir.
Alrighty, yeah, so it's also my number 3. I'll say the campaign, I understand why people perhaps don't like the story, let's say. I think that at this point they need to put like Mass Effect Codex into that game so you can figure out like what all the expanded lore shit is.
Oh yeah, I did have to do a bit of research.
Which,
before I went in.
yeah, like I am unfortunately prone to going down deep, horrible, dark lore learning paths, so I know all that shit, but the story is dumb. The ending of that game is silly.
Yeah.
But it made me excited for 6. I was just like, this is goofy. Let's do this. The levels I think are solid. I think the back half of that game is really goddamn amazing. From the Elite Homeworld onwards. Saying Helios onwards, those levels, it's like they designed the campaign to the levels to get more involved as you got more used to the new abilities.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And they get so vertical, and I had so much fun playing some of those later levels.
One level is literally vertical.
Yeah, and I just had fun playing that campaign, and yeah, there's some complaints about it, but also I feel like people are maybe remembering old Halo stories a little too positively. Whatever, that's fine. The thing that makes Halo 5 great is that it plays so goddamn well.
Yeah, it does.
The shooting, the feedback, the movement abilities, the 60 frames per second that never even blinks under 59. You know, I think it might be the best playing first-person shooter that I've played in a long. Destiny played incredibly.
Yeah,
I think Halo improves. Halo feels like a modernization of Halo in a way that really surprised me. And it feels new, fast, exciting, and it feels like it sort of just beats out everybody else in a way, which is really impressive. I just don't get tired of playing it. I think that, yes, there's a lack of content for sure compared to some of Bungie's later games. It's a little tricky of a comparison to make, though, because, you know, Halo 3 was loaded, and Halo Reach was, like, overstuffed with stuff, with content, you know. But by that point, that was their third and, like, fifth Halo game. This is only 343's second, and they maybe made some choices that were a little questionable with how far down the sort of pro scene they went, I feel like.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It could use to be more of a social game, but they're getting there. I think their support for it has been really excellent so far. They've been
It really has, yeah.
communicating and patching and putting out new stuff. Forge just hit and is really good.
I think that Halo 5 would have been much further down my list on launch day than it is right now. They've made it a way better game.
I agree. Yeah, and they've said they're gonna keep putting out patches until June, which is they have to say June as just a legal thing basically. So it sounds like they're just gonna keep supporting the game for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
And I'm having a big update every month. It makes it so I'm constantly looking forward to something with Halo, basically.
Yeah, that's always nice.
I think the rec pack stuff is questionable in some regards.
How so?
$60, well, excuse me, $85 here in Canada on a game, and then there's microtransactions is... I don't love it. They're relatively harmless, though.
Yeah. Like, I was a bit worried when I heard about them, but after seeing the way they were implemented, it's very optional. It's very optional.
It is. You know, Warzone, I think your first, 5 to maybe even 10 hours of the game where you're playing Warzone a lot, and you don't have a lot of cards, it can be a little shitty where you're like, well, I only have one tank. Like, do I call it in now?
Yeah.
But I think you hit a certain point where you just have so much of everything that you're just like, fuck it, I'm calling in a tank. Who cares? And I'm at that point, and it is. I understand all of the complaints about the wreck stuff, but it doesn't really get in the way of my enjoyment.
No.
You know.
I don't think I've ever played a Warzone game where I was like, oh, that's unfair. This guy had X weapon and I didn't have that weapon. It just makes it more interesting and more varied to see people running around with some of these crazy unlockables. It makes it a bit, I don't know.
They did a good job with like almost like a loot system in the way where it's like, oh, this is a really cool ultra rare weapon basically that you can call in, you know, and that stuff's neat. And basically I understand most of people's complaints about Halo 5, but I don't care because it plays so well.
It does, yeah.
And in a way, it's really recreating nostalgia in a sense. I mean, we had a big custom game session over the weekend, and everyone there were the same people we were playing custom games with almost 8 years ago, which is
wow, yeah,
really weird
8
and
years.
also fantastic.
Shit.
Like, I don't remember playing a single custom game in Halo 4.
No, I don't think I did.
Maybe one or two, I just don't remember. Halo Reach, I feel like basically Halo 3 is like the pinnacle of custom games and Forge and stuff.
Yeah.
And doing that stuff over the weekend, it was just like, oh yeah, this is the same. These are the same game modes that we were playing 8 years ago with the same people.
It is weird, yeah.
And so it's very personal, obviously.
Oh yeah, we're a little bit biased towards the franchise.
Well, for sure. I mean, whatever. It doesn't matter. This channel exists because of Halo, and we all know each other because of Halo. So yeah, like we have a special place in our heart for Halo, and I think Halo 5 has been filling that spot because
finally
it was so empty last year after Master Chief Collection that it was. I went through a stage where it's like, I don't care about Halo. I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't
me
care.
too.
You can put Halo
Me
5
too.
on, and it's like, I don't fucking care. I'll play it and be like, whatever. And then all of that anger was drained from me, and I was filled with nothing but hope. And
oh man, what a
Halo
beautiful
5 is a
thing.
great game, and I play it like almost every day and still have a ton of fun playing it, and can't wait to just keep playing it.
What a
for
year,
the
man.
next
Halo
year.
came back,
Yeah.
Star Wars came back.
Hallelujah.
What a year.
All right, let's carry on. Number 2. What is it?
Okay,
Hit
my
me.
number 2 is Until Dawn. We talked about it briefly. This is, because I haven't played Tales of the Borderlands, my biggest surprise of 2015. And I fucking love surprises, man. I love surprises. As we said, it looked crappy at E3. And then a little bit more footage started showing. I was like, actually, this looks a bit interesting. And then when you jump into the game, there was just something so instantly charming and... yeah, there's just something so charming about the personality of the game, and I was very quickly invested in the story and the characters. They do a pretty good job of the intrigue, as most horror films do. You're like, ooh, who's the killer? What's going to happen next? The game does a great job of pushing you along. I found the story really interesting. I liked the characters. I was tense the whole way through. As soon as you kill your first character,
Yep.
after like 4 chapters or so, and the game starts actually kicking it up a notch, then you're kind of like, oh shit, man, I like this person. I really don't want them to die. And it's just a really unique, intense experience all the way through. There's nothing like it. And as you can see by the way I reviewed the beginner's guide, I love stuff that I haven't experienced before. And Until Dawn was a one-of-a-kind type of thing. Even though it was similar to the Heavy Rain format, it was its own little thing. And I love that game, man. I loved it. And as we said, playing it side by side was a really unique experience. I would also go on YouTube, and as soon as I went past, say, this certain chapter, I'll go through YouTube and see, if people killed X here or if someone else died here, and I'll just laugh at people who killed, one of my favorite characters and be like, ha! I kept that person alive, and be so smug about it. And I finished the game, and I kept 5 people alive, and I was just the smuggest, happiest bastard. I think it is a must play for everyone. Everyone needs to go through Until Dawn once. If you've kind of spoiled the experience for yourself by watching it somewhere else, that is kind of a shame, because you can't get that back, and it really was a unique little thing. And I want sequels. Give me more.
You mean like that sweet on-rails VR experience?
Exactly, that's what I wanted. Thank
Well,
you.
Do I have news for you?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that sucks. I hate that they tease me with that. Like, here comes more Until Dawn. It's a VR roller coaster. You cheeky. Oh, okay.
When I finished Until Dawn, I don't even know if I had finished it, but it was in August, right? And I was just like, maybe even halfway through it, I just sort of said, this is top 5.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what the hell else comes out this year. This game is top 5 for sure. And
yeah, it's a risky thing to make as well. I think. I think I saw an interview with the guys who made it, and they were like completely shocked by how successful it was. Like, no one expected it to do as well.
Also, Sony like just shat it out. They just like put it out, and they're just like, oh, whatever. Here's Until Dawn. Like, they didn't market it at all. It's like they had no idea what they had, basically, which is a shame. I think it sold pretty well in the end, thanks maybe to YouTube in a way. I think. It is just wonderful. So much fun. Just entertaining from beginning to end.
Yeah, it is. It's just great to get invested in characters that you know could die, because you don't get that very often. Sometimes you'll play stuff by Telltale, or, I don't know, you fucking watch Game of Thrones, and you're like, cool, I hope this character doesn't die. But playing something where you know that there is 100% a chance that they will die if you do something wrong, that's a unique thing. And
it makes every QuickTime button prompt scary.
Yes,
with
it
the
really
little like
does. You're like, oh yeah, and then you always, no matter how good you are at hitting those buttons, you're gonna miss a few while playing through that game. And there's a second where you hit it and it flashes up red, and you hold your breath like, did I just fucking kill this person? And then they fall and they catch onto a ledge. You're like, oh my thank God, man, I'm so sorry. I'll never do it again. It's great. Oh, and we didn't even talk about the keeping still moments. Jesus Christ, I nearly fainted doing some of those.
Oh my God,
they were horrible.
Yeah, it's so much fun. It was just such a blast, yeah.
What a great game. All right, Your number 2.
So my number 2 and then your number 1, right?
Yeah, that's it.
I think I know what your number 1 is. You can tell me after I say my number 2. My number 2 is Soma.
No way! Holy shit! I didn't think it's gonna be on your list at all.
Really?
I didn't know you liked it that much. Soma is my number 1 of 2015.
I know. So let's have our Soma chat. Okay.
Yes, I'm so excited. I love Soma.
Okay, let me just first say,
you go first.
I modded my game so that the monsters ignored me.
You're a pussy.
Which is partially because I am a baby.
But I also gave you permission after playing through it.
But I think that is the way to play that game. Let me just get the negatives out of here, because this is a positivity thing.
Yeah.
I think the monsters are detrimental to the way that game tells its story, and the game's story is everything that makes Soma great.
It really is.
So having a monster get in your way of exploring these awesome environments, I think I would have really disliked the game a lot if I hadn't installed the mod. And you know what? It's a single player game. I can play it however the fuck I want to. And I am so glad I played it without the monsters. I mean, they're there. They just follow you around and don't do anything to you, and that was great.
No, you told me you were going to do that, and I was, after completing it, I was like, yeah, that's completely fine. They're more of like a pacing mechanism. They do add a bit of tension, but most of them are blind, so you kind of just crouch and walk around them. Yeah,
and I think, it's a bit of a shame almost, because I think it was the developers being like, we have this amazing story that is disturbing, but we're known for horror, so like, how do we make this, mechanically a gameplay horror game?
Yeah.
I hope they can find a happier medium, for the future. So
me too.
That's out of the way. Oh, also, fuck Simon. He sucks. Friggin' Torontonian idiot. He's exactly the type of retard I'd expect to come out of Toronto. He's always just like, Toronto! I am from Toronto! He says it all funny as well, which is hilarious. Oh my God. It's only something you notice if you live here. Live near Toronto. Simon's an idiot. Fuck him. But whatever. The good. I think Soma is the perhaps... what's the right word here? I think it's kind of like the most important story of the year. Okay. I mean that in the way that it feels like a story that... people will be inspired by for many years to come. It feels like a sci-fi achievement in a way.
Yes.
None of the things it deals with are original, but it combines a lot of things and asks a lot of questions that you're kind of like, let's not talk about this right now. I don't want to think about it. And it was interesting for a game where the story beats are never particularly shocking. to have it's weird to have a game like that where the story ends up being so profound, I think, because it creates a lot of questions, basically. I think the greatest thing that game does is the moral choices that they present to you, where, you have someone who is wired in, and it says, you can kill this person if you want to. You don't have to, though. And what's the benefit of killing them? Well, there is no benefit. There is no detriment. Like, nothing changes in the game if you go one way or another with this moral choice. It is purely for you to meditate on, basically, after doing it. And there's like 6 of them. There's sort of like 5 or 6 of them like that. And they sort of get increasingly more complicated, basically. And I think that is, if there's one thing to take away from the game, is like, maybe make moral choices not matter to the game, but instead they matter to you and your mind outside of the game.
That is the definition of a moral choice, basically.
Yeah, and games are always trying to reward you, basically, and or punish you. Like, all games are basically just reward or punishment, and it's like, well, you made this choice,
live with it.
Now Garrus is dead. And you're like, fuck, I wish I had picked, this person over this person in Mass Effect. Oh well. Whereas this is it's just for you to think about as you're trying to fall asleep after playing, and I think that is a really important achievement. I also think that, well, I also just really like the way that game does everything, because I really like Gone Home style games where it's just like, hey, here's this environment, explore.
Yeah.
See what you find. And that game, without the monsters, is just that. And it's in these really creepy, creaky, where everything is sort of groaning and moaning around you because you're all underwater. And there's the metal, and it's this creepy environment, and you're just exploring it. You're looking at sweet computers, like computers inside of computers are always awesome, and you're reading logs and listening to mostly well-acted, voice logs, and I like games that encourage you to explore, because there are some rather profound revelations you can have about the story that are completely missable, which I thought was cool.
And I'm not usually a person who's very, very, what's the word, like acute when it comes to that sort of thing. I can't think of the word. I'm not usually someone who is that interested in investing my time to go into like deep backstory about certain locations. There was something about Soma which really pushed me to just look deeply into what was going on, to read everything that popped up. And I never felt like I was forcing myself. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I see like a big letter, I'm like, oh, all right, I will read it because maybe it's interesting, maybe I should. But with Soma, I was like excited to read everything. And the way they did this whole, let's just call it a station, I really like the personality of the whole environments. Like, they split the station up into different like sections, and each little section had its own little backstory. It almost reminded me of like the vaults in Fallout 3 and 4, where like if you actually look into the vaults, there's like a little backstory, but it was way more diverse, way more interesting. Like, one section you go into, there's like all this like religious stuff, and like one section you go into, like all these people are suicidal because one person believes this thing, and I just like really enjoyed looking into that stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll let you finish before I go into my overall feelings on it.
Oh, sure. I'll also just say, like, it ticks a lot of boxes that I really like from movies, sci-fi movies. I really like The Abyss. I really like Aliens. I really like Event Horizon, or the first half of Event Horizon, and many others where it's just like, okay, it's underwater, it's empty, it's creepy. There's some like sort of weird horror going on. There's just a lot of concepts and location type stuff that it just really was appealing to me, and I'm so glad that whoever made that mod, thank you, because I would not have played this game. I really wouldn't have. I wouldn't have had the patience, and I wouldn't have had the, like, I just don't like, I'm not a horror game person,
Yeah.
And if that mod didn't exist, I wouldn't have played this, and that would have really made me sad, because it's like the first great like hardcore sci-fi story from a video game. I think video games have told some good sci-fi stories.
The only thing I would say came close was the ending of BioShock Infinite.
Yeah, and even BioShock Infinite it's very pulpy sci-fi, where it's just kind of, and Mass Effect is very like, it's sort of light and goofy in a way, with some elements that are making you think about things. BioShock certainly, but this was like the important sci-fi that would get written in like the 70s and 80s, where these are people that are, the writers are like cynical, worried people about the future of technology. And
Yeah.
Soma is like that, and that's the first time I've ever seen that in a game. So yeah, I think if you like sci-fi stories, you should play it. If you don't like horror, play it on the PC with that mod on Steam.
Yeah.
Because it's really, really cool, and I really like going in deep into story stuff, as I have said many times. I went down the Bloodborne story hole, so I'll go down any of them basically. And this was just like, I read everything in that game. I was like, okay, this is awesome, And they don't explain everything to you as well, like with WoW. I like that they keep it. They don't necessarily keep it ambiguous. They just don't give you all the information.
Yeah, it made for some interesting discussions post completing the game.
Totally, yeah. Go on. You take the wheel. It's a heck of a sci-fi story.
Yeah. Well, when Soma came out or was coming out, I think what's the name of the people who make it?
Frictional.
I think they did a pretty good job of maybe purposely advertising it as a horror game. Because all the interviews and all the stuff about it was like, it's going to be like the scariest game of the year. And when it came out, I was just completely shocked by what I experienced, because I am a massive sci-fi fan. Like, I love my sci-fi. I seek it out and I gobble it up. so when Soma came out, I was expecting a horror game, and I got something that I like more, which really just like, I don't know, I wasn't expecting. Like, throughout this list in this video, I've mentioned time and time again that 2015 surprised me. Game after game that I wasn't expecting to play, from The Witcher to Metal Gear Solid to The Beginner's Guide. There were so many games I wasn't expecting to play, let alone enjoy. And Soma, while it wasn't as shocking as Until Dawn, it still took me by surprise. I did not expect to find one of the best stories in video game history, in my opinion, because I'm a sci-fi nerd, within Soma. I expected like a spooky game. I expected fucking Outlast 2. I expected to be jump scared. And it is my favourite sci-fi story in video games, and it's up there with one of my favourite stories of all time. It's quite hard to say if it's at the top, but I'm a big story guy. I put story and single-player experiences before multiplayer, and it's one of my favourites, one of my favourite stories. And I also loved the environments, like I was saying earlier. I think the little station they created was really cool, and I loved exploring it. And sometimes I don't like exploring environments. Sometimes they don't interest me enough, like the Fallout world. But Soma did it. Soma did everything, and it really fucked me up afterwards as well. I couldn't stop thinking about Soma for like days afterwards, because the morality of like the deep sci-fi stuff that we're trying not spoil for you guys if you haven't played it really messed with my head. And I had no one to talk about after I finished it, and it was killing me. Absolutely killing me. But eventually we had a little theorizing about it, and it was fun. And yeah, it was a surprise and my favorite game of 2015. God, I love it. And I hope Frictional continue down the twisted sci-fi road or path, because there really isn't many people who are brave enough to do it, because it's hard to get right. Really hard to get right. And you don't know if you're going to alienate like the kids or the people who aren't interested in investing their brain into something as complex as that. So I'm glad there's people out there who are still taking the time to craft stuff like that.
Yeah, good on them for making something original, because I don't necessarily think that the first Amnesia had this amazing story to it.
I'm just saying, fictional games have just surprised me, because they didn't do A Machine for Pigs. It was a different studio.
That's correct.
So they literally done The Dark Descent, and I'm not sure if they've worked in anything.
No, they didn't. Soma. They spent 5 years on Soma. Yeah.
So both these games that they've released have had like a massive impact on what they were trying to accomplish. Amnesia was trying to be scary, and it changed everything when it came out, when it comes to the horror genre. And I would like to say that Soma does the same for the sci-fi genre, because I want more crazy, wacky stories, and I just can't wait to see what they do next, because two good games.
I hope their next game finds a good balance between gameplay, like the first Amnesia had really impressive original gameplay. This has a really impressive original story. I hope they find a happier medium,
I know what you're saying, yeah.
because if they find something that is telling a really good story but also plays really well and the gameplay doesn't detract or get in the way of you experiencing that story, then they'll be golden, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Exciting.
Soma!
Good game. All right, here we go. Let's get this over with.
We've been recording for an hour and 54 minutes.
I know. It's going to be 7 hours after we're done with number 1.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Guess what my number 1 game of the year is?
Is it?
It's The Witcher 3. Sorry if I interrupted.
I was going to say Life is Strange.
Don't make me leave again.
All right, come on. Before you go on your epic speech about why The Witcher 3 is the best game,
okay,
I will say that I am happy for you that The Witcher turned out to be as amazing as it was, because I've never seen you so excited for a game in the histories, like the last 8 years I've known you. I've never seen you so excited for a game, and hype's a dangerous thing.
Oh yeah.
Hype can ruin things, so I am glad, not only I enjoyed The Witcher, I'm glad that The Witcher is your best game.
I am glad as well.
I'm sure you are.
For like 2 years, I would say it was like number 1 with a bullet, most anticipated. I had nothing but huge expectations for it, which I really do try not to do, because I think if you just go into something with a clean slate, you're always going to have a better experience. So yeah, I was honestly a little concerned going into The Witcher 3. I was like, fuck, I'm too excited for this. What if it's just bad? Or what if it just doesn't meet it? And it surpasses every expectation I had, and then some.
That's huge as well.
And when
that's huge.
Not even like after like 30 hours with it, I basically declared to myself, this is the best game of the year. There is not any way that another game can surpass it for me, and that carried through for another 60 hours or 70 or 80 hours. I don't know necessarily where to start, but I'll just get the hyperbole out of the way. I think it's up there with one of only like maybe 3 or 4 other games that I would call like some of the best things like I have ever played ever. It joins BioShock. No, I would say it's superior. It joins like Portal 2 and Mass Effect 2 as like my maybe favorite things I've ever played in my life, which is surprising, I think, because I really enjoyed The Witcher 2, but I feel like I maybe started to like it more after I had played it, and maybe not, I don't know, but like I really enjoyed The Witcher 2 a lot. It's a cool world and complicated and dirty and mean, and it has lots of good characters, but The Witcher 3 sort of continues all that and then some. I think you made a really good point earlier when you were talking about it, which is the world has a really remarkable sense of realism to it.
Yeah, massively.
And naturalism, like the world like it's laid out in a very realistic and believable way, and like when you start looking at things, you're like, oh, this town is on the high ground above the swamp. Of course it's here. That makes sense. You know, I would build a town here instead of in the swamp, and stuff like that just like carries out throughout the entire game. I also really enjoy that none of the stories are like huge, and you are not Jesus.
Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot to say that. I like that as well.
Because as much as I like BioWare and as much as I like Mass Effect, they like telling Jesus stories, basically.
Yeah.
You know, they really like telling stories where you are playing the hero of the universe, and Witcher is not that at all. You know, you're an important guy, and you know a lot of important people, and you're tough, and you screw a lot of mages. And your quest with Ciri, you know, parts of it do venture into like sort of potentially world ending.
Yeah.
But at no point is the world looking at you, really.
You're not the Dragonborn.
No, you're not. And in fact, I think the majority of the world kind of like spits at you as you walk by, because you're like this horrible freak. Yeah, they are. There's a lot of...
especially in Novigrad.
There's a lot of racism in that game. That I really like. Like, I like that...
I love racism.
I'm talking more about the main character here. I know. I like when the main character and plot is not. It's sort of intimate in a way. Like the main, by the end of that game, you're still with the same sort of handful of characters doing this big thing, but only with a small group. And then all the side stories are just like a seemingly endless number of really well written human small dramas, basically, where it's like, and they're always about people being flawed. Like the Red Baron is a really good example of that.
That was a great story arc.
And there are many other great story arcs, but that's like a really good big story arc where it's like, this is a complicated person, and no part of this story is going to end particularly well. And then you realize that like that's the case for the whole game, and that every story you come across is good, and that the game is like 100 hours long.
It's massive.
It's fucking ridiculous how big that game is. Like, I mean, I can't imagine, honestly, what it would have been like to not know what the world is or the gameplay and venture into The Witcher 3. They said they spent a lot of time saying it's going to be way more accessible for people, and compared to The Witcher 2, they're not wrong. But that world never stopped. It like when you get out of White Orchard and you get to Velen, you're like, wow, this is a really big world. And then you spend like 20 hours there, and then you get to Novigrad and you're like, fuck, this is a big world. And then you spend another 20 hours in Novigrad and you get to Skellige and you're like, okay, what the fuck? This is too much, you guys. Like, this is venturing on the extreme.
It is at times a little bit overwhelming.
Not. I wouldn't say a little. I felt overwhelmed for like 60 hours, honestly. There's something to The Witcher that I struggle to explain. It's the same struggle I have with something like Mass Effect, where there's a I don't know if you remember, in the first Mass Effect game, near the end of that game, you talk to the Prothean AI Vigil on that planet, and he like explains everything to you, and that really, really nice sort of distant ethereal music is playing while you're talking to this AI. And whenever I hear that music from Mass Effect, I get this feeling of like, I can't explain it. It's the same sort of like heartwarming feeling I get when I think about Halo 3, where it's like, I don't know what's going on, but something about this I adore deeply. And that's the same with The Witcher, where it's like you're on Skellige and that really amazing sort of Eastern European woman comes on and starts singing while you're in Skellige, and I get that same feeling where it's like, I don't understand what it's doing to my brain, but I I adore what's happening right now. And that basically applies to like the 120 hours I've spent with The Witcher.
Wow.
And like 95 hours of that is original content and is amazing, And I think the game has its issues for sure. Like the combat is not awesome. The movement ability, like walking around, can be frustrating at times. The Witcher senses, like using your Witcher senses to detective things, like that is way overused.
Yeah.
It's got issues, but in terms of a world and stories within that world and a sense of place, I don't think it has ever been done as well.
I can agree.
The Witcher 3 is one of the small number of games that I would like very happily have my memory wiped, and I would just love to replay it for the first time over and over again, like BioShock. And I can't really get enough of it. That DLC came out and is wonderful. That next DLC is on its way and it's supposed to be another 20-25 hours, and then they say that's going to be it, and that kind of breaks my heart, because I would honestly I could spend another 100 hours doing original stuff and more new content in the game, because I do not tire of it, which is impressive for me, because I play this game for like 6 hours every night for like a month.
That's a lot.
Which I don't do. I can barely go for like an hour without having to stop. With games, I just don't do long sessions anymore, and that it just like got its claws in me in a way that almost no game ever has before. And when I have such high expectations for something and it blows my mind, that is an accomplishment. You know,
It's a rare thing.
Yeah.
Rare thing.
So I don't know if I articulated anything well there, but holy shit, is The Witcher 3 good? The
I
end.
think you like it.
The end.
The end. We did it.
2 hours,
It's
4
2 hours,
minutes.
yeah.
Let's see what that gets cut down to.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Okay. So, thank you guys for watching, especially if you watch all the way to the end of this video, because it's gonna be a long one.
Oh boy.
But since we aren't making these very frequently, if this is like 2 hours long, it can act as like 4 videos in one.
No.
And it will keep you guys going for the next year
No.
until we do the best of 2016.
Okay, maybe my target of early February is ambitious.
Yeah, maybe.
I have so much work to do.
But anyway, guys, we're going to end it there. We're not going to say if we plan to do any more in the future because, you know, when we don't do these often and we don't know what our schedules are like, so we're going to promise nothing. But we have some ideas, so you might be seeing us in the future.
Before you sign off, I want to say I will put a few honorable mentions in the comments because those are always fun.
Yeah.
And also, please feel free to share. I like hearing lists. As long as Undertale's not number 1, then if that's the case, don't share. I don't care. Just kidding. If you made it this far and you're hearing me insult you, then I apologize.
Yeah, put your list
I love
lists.
lists.
In the comments. Yeah, I like lists too.
Yeah.
But that's all for now,
Let's
guys.
end
So
this.
thank you.
Fuck.
I will.
I'm leaving.
Okay. But that's all for now, guys. So thank you very much for watching. And we'll see you in the next one.
Goodbye.
Bye!
I'm finished.